Newly revealed documents show the Trump administration took money away from FEMA and other federal agencies. The money was apparently used to pay for immigration detention centers. According to documents obtained by Oregon Democratic Senator Jeff Merkley, FEMA lost nearly $10 million from its $15 billion budget. Our Jeff Pegues filed this report.
Over the last year, there have been questions about whether FEMA's resources are stretched thin as it responds to hurricanes, and that's why that nearly $10 million is getting a lot of attention this morning. The budget documents were first made public by Senator Jeff Merkley, a Democrat from Oregon. He has called the money transfer a scandal. More than $4 million of the funds from FEMA are listed as response and recovery or preparedness and protection, but the document says mission impact is minimized as FEMA will curtail training, travel, and public engagement. The 40-page report also says that without the transfer of funds, ICE will not be able to fulfill its adult detention requirements this year. In their response, a spokesman for the Department of Homeland Security said the funds cut from FEMA were from routine operating expenses and could not have been used for hurricane response. DHS also says that under no circumstances was any disaster relief funding transferred from FEMA to ICE services.
And Senator Merkley joins us now from Capitol Hill. Senator, thank you for being with us. Now, you have called the transfer of funds a scandal, but FEMA told CBS News no disaster relief money was taken from the agency. So why is this a scandal?
Well, what is very clear is the document speaking for itself. That $10 million was taken out of FEMA during the first month of the hurricane season in order to fund an expansion of prison camps in the United States of America. I think Americans during this hurricane season, especially after last year with Irma and Maria and Harvey, want to make sure that we're doing everything possible to be prepared to respond. And two of those accounts within FEMA that it was taken from, one is the response and recovery and one is preparation. Those two accounts clearly are related, and I know some of the press has gotten comments from people outside of FEMA today that have said, yes, absolutely, these funds could have been used to be helpful in terms of preparing for and responding to a potential disaster such as the Hurricane Florence coming down right on the Carolinas right now.
It certainly can show an administration's priorities, moving funds from one agency to another. But doesn't the administration have the right to move certain amounts of funds between departments and agencies?
Yes, this is, as far as I'm aware, a completely legal thing to do, to move the funds from one area to another. They have to notify Congress. This notification goes to the chair, so that would be the Republican chair of the relevant appropriations subcommittee. So, but that information, when they're moving funds from one area to another, the budget is public, the appropriations bills are public. Shouldn't that be public as well? And I did feel that this document should help fill in Americans on what the administration is doing. Document speaks for itself. The point here is that things did not go well a year ago. I visited 9 months after the hurricane in Puerto Rico and Virgin Islands. Thousands of blue tarps still covering homes that never got funds to be repaired. Hospitals that were essentially shut down with patients having to fly to the United States for treatment. Thousands of families not yet having electrical service restored 9 months after the storm. And so certainly what I think all of us want to hear from the administration is not that the president says it was an A-plus performance, because it clearly wasn't. What went wrong? How are you fixing it? How are you going to do it differently this year? And if you need more resources or more flexibility, then lay it out for Congress so that Democrats and Republicans together can be supportive of your important mission.
And Senator, as Florence is bearing down, what is your assessment of FEMA's preparedness?
quite frankly, it's very difficult to say. We don't know how many precisely supplies have been pre-positioned, all of the things that it takes to respond to an emergency like this, how much has been moved in the last few days from adjoining regions, now that we know more or less the location that the storm is going to hit. It's really impossible, except for an expert inside FEMA, to say where they stand right now. I hope for the sake of all the Americans who are impacted that they have been able to be very successful in doing everything possible to prepare.
Oregon Senator Jeff Merkley, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. You're welcome.